How's it going? I'm Kevan, Kenney, and the woman to my side has sold over 10 million singles. Your videos on Vivo and YouTube have been viewed over 1 billion times. You've been streamed over 1 billion times. Bebe Rexha is here, everybody. Some light applause. And you're actually here for good reason because today's a big day. Your part 2, your All Your Fault part 2 is out for pre-order today. How's that feel?
Everybody says fart, and I think it's the funniest thing.
I'm not the first one to do that?
No.
Oh, God, I feel better now.
It's on pre-order today. I'm really excited. I can't wait for the world to hear it, and I'm like, I don't want to pre-order. I want it out right now.
Yeah.
I'm like one of the fans because I write the songs, and I'm like, why does it take so long? Yeah, I have to have patience.
Waiting's it could even be worse for you than the fans sometimes, right? You write these songs, you create this stuff, and you got to wait for people to hear it.
Yeah, I think it takes an estimated 1 to 3 years for each song to come out.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it took me myself and I. It's every song I've ever written or been a part of. It's always been about 1 to 2 years before it's ever come out.
Must feel like a throwback at that point, right?
I'm like the song is so old and boring. No, but yeah, and like I sometimes I feel like I'm more impatient than the fans, but I can't,
Yeah, that's up to
I can't go
else.
And start just tweeting, and it'll end up bad.
So part 1 came out, I think, in February of this year. It's off to a tremendous start. There's a bunch of great songs off it, 6 on that record, or that project, I should say. I want to talk about the inspiration for this body of work, and it's not to dive into your personal life, but I think it's such a great story. If you took something that was really upsetting in your life at a given time and you turned it into this great body of work, can you kind of talk about what went into?
All Your Fault Part 1 was based off of a breakup and then a time in my life where I was, I lived in LA and I had a manager at the time in the music business that we had parted ways, and then I went through the breakup, and then I had a friend who kind of, broke my heart, and so I basically was very heartbroken and very sad. So I wrote the first part kind of during this time. Mm-hmm. So, you have fuck fake friends and atmosphere in small doses, a gateway drug, and then, starting to lead into not being so heartbroken with Bad Bitch and I Got You.
Yeah.
Going into the next part, which is, so like All Your Fault was based off of like, it's all your fault that my heart's broken. I'm so bitter and blah, 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 blah. And then now the second part, it's more just like, it's all your fault that I'm this strong, independent woman. Mm-hmm. And there's a song called like, Not the One. Like, don't like here I am in your bed, but don't fall in love with me because I'm not, you can't love me. Sorry.
That's empowering, right?
Yeah.
So you're speaking to a point
like I'm not the one to love, so don't even try.
Right. You're speaking to a point that I think is really
That's
cool.
terrible.
No, I don't think so. You're speaking to a point that I think is really fascinating and exciting for fans of your music, is that we're not going to get like a carbon copy of part 1 when part 2 drops on August 11th. You matured, you grew, and you were, like you just said, you were more empowered, and that's reflected in the new music that we'll get on August 11th with part 2.
There's a song, one of the songs called That's It. It's with 2 Chainz and Gucci Mane. Nice. And it's literally, it's just like it's so awesome. It's just us talking shit. Yeah. And we're like, that's it. Like, that's it. Like, we just start naming stuff and we get really like, I don't know. It's just an awesome record, but it's like really fun.
Snapchat on set. Now, why two parts? Is it just like albums are too long these days? Is it as simple as that?
Yeah, I don't know. I put out. Everybody asked me, but I put AYF Part 1, All Your Fault Part 1, just like to put it out because like I never really put out something that I loved, and it just like did really like well, and people liked it. So I'm like, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. So I'm like, I'll put out Part 2, and I think we all have kind of like a, like we're ADD. So like I'm gonna put out just songs that I love, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think AYF Part 2 is a lot more different though. It's a lot more. It's like a playlist.
Yeah. Like as opposed to part 1? Yeah,
it's like curated. I have a song with Florida Georgia Line.
Really? We were just down in Nashville for the Country Music Festival.
Yeah, my manager was like, go in with this group, Florida Georgia Line. They're really big. And I'm like, I don't like country music at all. And he's like, just do it. So I go in the studio and I had like 2 sessions. And I meet Tyler, and he's so nice. And he's like, you ready to write? And I'm like, what? I am not writing after this long day.
Yeah.
And we ended up writing the song called Meant to Be, and I think it's probably one of the best songs I've ever been a part of.
Does it sound like a country record?
It sounds like a pop record, but with, like me doing my thing and them doing their thing.
Yeah.
It's like a country crossover pop record.
Yeah. It's so funny you say you don't necessarily like country, because I think of your music and I think of, you know, the influences that I've read your influences being, and they're so all over the place. It's hip hop, it's R&B, it's pop, of course.
I think it's just like great records. Like, you know, if I sing his part, or if I sing the song, you could change it into like 8,000 ways, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that record is going to be really special, and it's going to be really big.
That's really cool. That's exciting. You see him collaborating with a lot of people, like the Chainsmokers on the Chainsmokers record, and now they're going to be on this. That's really cool.
I think what's interesting about this EP is like it's gonna really, people are gonna be really like caught off guard by it.
Yeah, because part one was kind of like a concise story.
It was concise, you know,
right?
it had atmosphere, it small dose. Like, it made sense. You know, this one's like, that's it. You know, mustard on the beat, and then it goes into a Stargate record, which I wrote with this guy, T-Ron from Rock City. And it's just such an awesome, it's just, I can't even explain the sound. It's really cool. And then it goes into, you know, The Way I Are, and then a song with Cranium, who's a dope reggae artist.
Yeah,
I love him so much. Yeah, I love him so much. And we did this song called Comfortable. It's about when you're in a relationship and you get too comfortable. And then it goes into Meant to Be and possibly another song that I don't know if it's going to be on. Yeah, so I'm excited.
I'm so curious to get your opinion, because you're such a student of the game. You've been on both sides of it, both behind the scenes and now as a performer. And you know, just from people that, you know, you've collaborated with in the past, you can tell you're really a student of it. What is your opinion on albums these days? You know, you're doing this part 1, part 2 project. Are albums a thing of the past? Do you first, like, how do you see albums as an artist? What does it mean in today's musical landscape?
I think that, like, you know, I think it's whatever you want it to be. I think it's however you, I think albums will always have a special place in my heart, because that's how I listened to music growing up. And that's when I wanted a single, my mom would buy me an album, and then I would have to listen to the whole, I had no choice but to listen to the whole album, you know, because like you paid $13.99 or whatever, however much it was at the time. But I think that it's however you view, you know, it's art. So it's however you view a project, or however you view something, if it's an EP or an LP or playlist, or however you call it. I think that it's whatever you want it, like, it's however you want to put your music together. Yeah.
And I guess a song that I've heard talked about in past interviews of yours, and I bring it up because I don't think it's going to be on part 2, but so much of your music involved in AYF, and I like that little shortening that helps me out with my fart and fault, has such positive messages for your listeners and for your fans. And Apple, the song Apple, that is kind of born out of a sentiment your mom shared with you as a kid.
Yeah, Apple is a song, you know, it's from you know, not she would tell me, like, you know, well, it was with me and Lauren Christie as well. We were talking about this. She's an amazing writer, and she said that sometimes we want to be, you know, the apples at the bottom of the tree that are bruised, they're easy to grab the apple. You know, you can grab the apple easily, and you can take a bite out of it. But the apples at the top of the tree, they're really hard to get, because you got to climb the tree, and nobody wants to put the work in to climb the tree. But the apple at the top of the tree is so juicy, crispy, and shiny. And it's a record about, you know, not giving it away so easily, and one day the right guy or, you know, girl will climb up and grab you from the top of the tree and take a bite of you. So that, I don't think that's not making AYF part 2, but hopefully the next cycle of songs. There's so many songs. I mean, there's a record called Human that didn't make it, and it's about social media, and it's about, you know, like filtering things and followers, and how we get so caught up in our phones, and how we're losing human touch. But maybe I'll put those out in between just as buzz stuff.
How do you feel about social media now they bring it up?
I think social media is dangerous.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. I think there's pros and cons. I think it's incredible because you can get closer to your fans, but then you could really, like, if I'm in a bad mood and I tweet something, it's like bad.
It's out there forever.
It's dangerous.
The blogs have it.
Yeah.
I want to talk about another song of yours that's out right now, and I love this song, is The Way I Are.
Yeah.
Just as like a 2000s teenager, somebody who loves you know, that decade of music. Is this at all an allusion to Timbaland and that song at all?
It was funny because, like, I remember, you know, the song that there's a song that I wrote called Sleeping Like a Baby, and it has cry sounds in it, and I was in the studio with Timbaland, and there's a song that he did with Aaliyah like that. Of course. So I wanted to play it for him because I was inspired by it, but I was like, okay, let's see if he says he wants publishing on it or something that. Yeah, right. And I played it for him, and that's the song that I was, you know, I love Timbaland. But you know, I love The Way I Are, his record. But you know, I didn't go in the studio thinking I wanted to write a song called The Way I Are from his record.
And it's totally different for the record, by the way, your song and his.
And then also I didn't really want to write a Whitney interpolation. I didn't want to do an interpolation. It's just
I love that
when
word, by the way. I just learned that word.
Oh, the interpolation. Yeah, it's an interpolation, not or whatever. So I didn't want to write a Whitney song. I was just in the studio, and it just was a funny lyric. We did the whole, I'm sorry, I'm not the most pretty. I'll never ever sing like Whitney. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. But I don't wanna dance with somebody. We just did it as like a, trying to be like a smart ass.
Yeah.
And then Joe Little, who did all the Lord stuff, we were in the room, and he was like, that's the hook. I was like, what do you mean that's the hook? We got to go into a different chord change and like make a big thing. And he's like, no, he's like, that dance with somebody line. He's like, just sing it 4 times in a row. And I was like, and like, this guy's lost his mind. And I'm like, I just want to dance with somebody. I just want to dance with somebody. I just want to dance with somebody. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, okay, now he's like, coffee. He's like, change it up a bit with Bebe. I just want to dance with somebody. Yeah, I want to dance with somebody. It could be anybody. Yeah, tell me, are you that somebody? Don't matter who you are. Love me the way you are. I just want to dance with some. And I'm like, he's a genius. I hate you so much. I'm like, I hate you so much. How could that be a hook? Because I'm like so used to like making like, the whole woo and me myself and like such insane hook, like really dramatic hooks, and like like there has to be like just moments, and it was just so cool the way that song came together. And it was just fun, and it was based off of me being signed to my record label, and it was actually a fuck you to the record label, because the lyric is, I'm sorry that I'm not the most pretty, I'll never sing like Whitney, I'm sorry my lyrics aren't cool. I wasn't like the blog girl who like the blogs would put me in. I didn't give a fuck. And I was like, I'm sorry, this is not who I am. I want to find somebody who likes me for who I am. So that's what that song is. And I thought it was funny.
That's awesome. And I love how, I guess, Wayne
But I just say, like, in interviews, I'm like, it's just about accepting me for the way that I am and having a good time, because that's like the easy thing to say.
Yeah, but that's I guess the real story right there.
Yeah.
And I guess Wayne hopped on at some point. I love that he says he can't dance like Bobby.
Yeah, I love that. So funny. I was like, that is so good. I was like, he's good. I'm like, Wayne's good. He's dope.
Totally.
No, but it was really a pleasure working with him and Director X, and it was a really cool chemistry. And he walked on set with his double cup and his joint, and I was like, okay, this is like really happening. It's Lil Wayne walking in the room.
Yeah.
And I was nervous, but then he just was so cool, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be a really awesome moment, and I had a great time.
What was it like working with Director X? Because you worked with some amazing music video directors between him and Dave Meyers. Director X, for those that don't know, he did Work From Home with Fifth Harmony. He did Hotline Bling, which is like got to be one of the most iconic music videos this decade. What was it like working with him and collaborating with him on the concept for this video? You guys did some cool stuff with the Bollywood dancers. Yeah,
I actually met him in Toronto, and I met him in the producer. I was on tour in the All Your Fauly tour in Canada, and I met him in Toronto, and I said, I want to make a cool video. I said, but I can't lie, like this song, like when I'm sad I listen to it and it makes me happy, and I want it to be cliche like I want it to be an obvious video. And like usually like you either go with what the video says, but then everybody tries to be so cool and does the total opposite. So like instead of it dancing with somebody, you'd be like alone, like try to be cool. And I was like, I don't want to be cool in this video, I just want to have fun. And I'm like, I have an idea, but I don't know how much I can give you this idea. And he's like, no, when he did Hotline Bling with Drake, he said Drake actually came in and brought a lot of, he likes having the artists bring their, what they have in their mind, So I was like, I want to bring in Bollywood dancers, I want to bring in African dancers, I want to bring in salsa dancers, but I want them to be actual. Like, I want that to be what they do. I don't want you just pulling girls from, like, L.A. and saying, like, here, dance African.
For the day, you'll be a Bollywood dancer.
Yeah, I think that's disrespectful. I'm like, I want real dancers. So we worked together with Ebony, and who's an amazing choreographer, and they killed it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it came out amazing. And you actually were just on Jimmy Kimmel not too long ago out in LA. And we were talking before we did the interview, where what's cool about Kimmel's show is they try most of the time to like recreate the music video. So what was that experience like? Because it was a bit bigger. The production was a bit bigger than your typical late night performance. I think it was cool because they wanted to work with us and they wanted to make something fun and different. And I think that's really exciting because late night TV can get pretty boring sometimes because you're like the stage looks so much bigger on camera than it is, and it's usually like just
your band, and if you have dancers like 4, and it's like the same old thing every time. So the fact that they were able to, like, we started on Hollywood Boulevard and they shut down 2 blocks for me, and it was really cool, and they were really kind, and like and it was a fun experience. It was kind of nerve-wracking though, because it was like so much happening.
Did you get nervous? I was like, you've done award shows, you've done so many late night
shows.
I
get nervous all the time, and I practice a lot, and then I always like mess up somehow, or like don't do it as perfect as like I did do in rehearsals. But that's just like human nature.
Yeah, that happens to everybody.
Yeah,
right?
I get my nerves always get the best of me.
Totally. Now that song, The Way I Are, is also going to be in the Just Dance, I think 2018 video game. That's kind of cool. Were you ever like a gamer back in the day? You ever like a video game?
Yeah, like I played that game back in the day once, but like I never thought it would be in the video game.
Yeah.
I went and I played the new version that's coming out in October, and I was like terrible at it.
Were you really?
Yeah, my own game. I kept on getting my own song. I kept getting beaten like every time. But like some random people, like some old man, some like young girl, like just beat every time.
But to your own song.
Yeah, it's my own song.
That's amazing. Now I want to talk in closing here about something you're doing coming up. You're going to be at the Hot 100 Festival in August 19th and 20th. Tickets are available for that. It's kind of cool. It's like a week after the part 2 comes out, so it's nice timing there.
Yeah.
Your shows are so fun. It's like you talk to the audience, you bring people up. Like, you know, you've had fans when you were at Irving Plaza here in March. You brought fans up to like rap some verses. It's really cool. It's an immersive experience, and you know, it's like heaven if you're a Bebe Rexha fan.
I think like I love when I like watching I always wanted to, like, I'm not obviously not a hip hop artist at all, but the one thing I love about hip hop shows and like is that, you know, it's very like, it's just all about the energy in the room, and it's not all about like, you know, the lights and the production, and I love that, and that's what I try to bring to my show as well. That feel of like, yes, you want to talk to me, come up on stage right now. What's your name? And tell me who you are, and tell me what do you want to say to the crowd right now. Here's the mic. You have 30 seconds, and then you just don't know what happens.
It's like a fan's dream come true. Festivals aren't exactly the same environment as a show, but what can we expect from you in that festival environment?
I think, you know, performing some of the new music, hopefully, and you know, and bringing that, and then I think what's happened with me and my band, the band I've been touring with, is like we've created such a great chemistry, and it's like we perform like our sets, but we on stage now, because we're so comfortable, we change it up. We, you know, they'll freestyle their solos, and everything is kind of, I'll take a song out during the set you won't even know, or like I'll put something in, and I think that's like the beauty of it, because it's like live, and the energy is just so exciting, and it's not like some shiny pop shit. It's very like,
it's real,
and it's a little bit, I don't know what I'm gonna say or do.
It's unpredictable.
Yeah,
kind of like a Kenney
It
show,
kind of
right?
scares me a little bit.
Yeah,
I scare myself on stage because now I'm like, I can't say certain things. I have to be careful.
Got a sense of yourself.
Yeah.
Well, the dates to remember for that is August 19th and 20th. That's going to be at Jones Beach in New York. Tickets are available, but the most important date is actually today, because the pre-order for AYF, All Your Fault Part 2 is available.
Not All Your Fart.
Not Fart. That might be the next project, right? All
Maybe.
Your Fart. Maybe. We don't know. Bebe, thank you so much for taking the time in a very busy week to stop by Billboard.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And best of luck.